Let's go to Florida now. Following Hurricane Ian, Ron DeSantis, the governor of the state, is speaking. Let's have a listen.
FEMA administrator come up and provide some perspective from FEMA.
Thank you, Governor. So I'll obviously thank you, the governor, but I want to thank the agencies represented here to my left, especially Gracia, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, Captain Rooney, and Admiral Brendan McPherson from the United States Coast Guard. Others that are not here that are certainly on that floor behind me, Lieutenant Colonel Miller from the U.S. Army Corps District out of Jacksonville, Colonel Booth out of Jacksonville, and many, many other federal partners that have certainly helped us here. Captain, if you can just grab that easel and just put it right back up here for just a second, I'd appreciate it. I wanted to thank them before I covered them up with a sign here in just a second. So, all right, so let's talk. We're right in that 72-hour area of search, secure, stabilize that I talked about yesterday. So everything that I want to talk about right now is about that search, secure, and stabilize. So we continue to have our fire rescue partners, search and rescue, going in there and conducting the what we call the hasty search, and then they're coming back and do their primary search, and then they'll do a secondary search. So again, I think it's very important for everybody to know that as a part of the search and rescue element, over a 72-hour period, there's actually 3 searches that are conducted. That hasty search is just very quick, see if they see any survivors that are alive or in a traumatic situation, and they start to move those individuals to safety. That's been conducted. Now we're back in that primary search area, which is now we're doing a little more detailed search, and then we'll do a second search behind that. Stay safe. I want people to make sure that they are safe. This comes down to personal preparedness, or I should say personal preparedness, but the individual response. Generator safety. We have been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, but we still get reports of people operating their generators inside of a garage, operating their generators just outside of a cracked window with a cord running through the window, and we're having continued issues with carbon monoxide. All right? I'm not saying we've had carbon monoxide deaths. I'm just saying that we're still having carbon monoxide issues. Please operate your generators in a safe mode. That also includes not having electrical cords actually run through puddles of water. Let's make sure that we got them elevated and not running through puddles of water. Next, as I mentioned last night, chainsaw safety, ladder safety, wire safety. If you don't know what it is, don't cut it. If you don't know how to cut it, don't cut it. Let the professionals come in and do that. We have more than 2,000 resource requests from our impacted local partners, and more than 1,700 are in process or completed. I think there's a very important bullet to note here. A lot of counties put in mission requests for bulk food and water when we had a 45, 50 county disaster. Now we have counties starting to cancel their food and water. So when we say 2,000 and 1,700, and we had this 300 gap, I wanted people to understand there were 2,000 mission requests. We're filling 1,700. Some of those are going to be organically canceled because they're not impacted at the county level. We've mobilized more than 14,000 gallons of diesel to Fort Myers for a water plant to provide water to nearby hospitals. We've deployed 2 for Hernando County Fire and 2 Hernando County Sheriff staff to use drones for photography and video of flooded areas in DeSoto County. And I want to make sure that I take this time to say thank you to our restoration crews who have been able to take 500,000 individuals and get them power back. We're down to 1.9 million in the power restoration area that still need to be restored. Again, thank you to our first responders. I want to bring in, we're starting to get some questions about food and distribution points. So I'm going to ask Brian to give me this graphic that we've made here. And I think this is important for a couple of reasons. We talk about a family personal preparedness plan. So what we've done here, we are in day number 2-3 of the response disaster. This is where your personal family plan is being executed. This is why we've asked, we partner with FEMA on this, have 3 to 7 days of water. We talk, you hear me talk a lot about 5 to 7 in Florida. So again, days 1 through 5, personal family plan. This is the food and water that you had. Now, we do have food and water at shelters if you go into a shelter. The next phase of this you'll see is in orange. This moves us from the family plan over into the National Guard and local community level point of distribution plan that will run for somewhere between 72 hours and about 120 hours. So 3 to 5 days. So as we exit that, again, we're way back over here. We will then come in with mass feeding kitchens. Those mass feeding kitchens will be designed to provide those hot meals 3 times a day to the most impacted communities that still don't have food and water. And we're getting some questions, the First Lady is getting some questions, and I want to make sure that we take the opportunity to educate individuals as a part of how everything ties together. So again, personal plan, National Guard food distribution plan, which is water and dry food at our points of distribution, and then we'll move into a hot feeding kitchen plan. So I thought it was important for everybody to understand how that connects, and that as we continue to get questions about that, where is your government? Today, we are in the process of moving National Guard to the bulk food has gotten to those 2 locations the governor's already mentioned. Now we're moving down to the community plan, which is that local National Guard element that's going to go up and set that up. I'm working with Lee County today, which is obviously the most impacted county. They have 8 community pods that will be opening, hopefully in some form or fashion, moving cars through them later today in 8 locations. I'm going to let Sandra take the lead on announcing those locations at the local level for her staff so that when they're ready, we're ready. But I want to make sure we tie all that together.
So that was a FEMA representative talking after Hurricane Ian barreled its way across Florida on Wednesday and Thursday, talking about the search and rescue that's still going on, that there are 3 stages of a 72-hour search and rescue, and they're on the 2nd stage, so it's hasty and then primary and secondary. Also talking about people to use their generators wisely. They said they have a carbon monoxide issue, people not airing, or well, using the generators in an area where their exhaust fumes can get, well, free. And also chainsaw safety, saying if you don't know what it is, don't cut it. Also about 1 million people still without power, and they're working to deal with that. So the latest from Florida as Hurricane Ian now sets its sights on South Carolina.